Well, good evening, everyone, and that's quite a sort of it is a very clickbaity title, but it's a clickbaity title for a reason. Um, because I genuinely believe that the UK is in a state of emergency on so many different levels, and we have a tiny bit. Well, we think we have a tiny amount of influence, but I believe that, and I hope I'm not being um, narcissistic, arrogant, or a megalomaniac, but I believe the Christian believers in this movement have way more influence than we think. And when we look at what's happening in the country, there's a verse in Proverbs 29:18, and it says this: Where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is no vision, the people perish. And I genuinely believe that for at least since the time of John Major, probably before, probably going right the way back into the 1960s, maybe it's the late 1950s, there's been no vision for the British people. There's been no vision for where Britain goes. It's been this whole idea of managing decline, and now we find ourselves in a sad state of emergency, and where we're surrounded on every side by enemies. We have enemies externally and enemies internally. And I want to think a little bit about the two big stories of the day: the Chagos Islands and China, and both of them, incidentally, relate to China. And I believe that successive British prime ministers, probably with the exception of Liz Truss, have a feeling that Liz Truss, even though she may have started on the dark side, came to the light. But I believe successive prime ministers, certainly from John Major onwards, have been globalist, they have been internationalist. On both sides of the political divide in the country, the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, I believe they've all been socialists. I believe they've all been sympathetic with the Chinese Communist Party, specifically from David Cameron onwards. If you look at what Call Me Dave did, and you look at how close he tried to bring China to the United Kingdom, and then when Call Me Dave left power, does anyone know what Call Me Dave did when he left power? Call Me Dave went globe-trotting, and he's probably doing it again now, I don't know, but he went globe-trotting, trying to sell China's Belt and Road Initiative. And China's Belt and Road Initiative is an economic tool to give them influence and power so that they can dominate geographical areas of the world. That's what it's about. Buying into ports, investing into ports, buying into infrastructure, road, rail, so that they can have influence and power. And most worryingly, they were allowed to invest heavily in the British non-military nuclear power setup, the nuclear power infrastructure. The Chinese were allowed to invest in that under Call Me Dave. And now we see two-tier Keir doing exactly the same. And of course, Keir Starmer's a bedfellow because Keir Starmer is a communist. He is a Trotskyite. And how much he has in common with the Chinese premier, we don't know. But what we do know is that somebody in this government is deeply compromised. To allow that Chinese embassy to go ahead is a national emergency. When MI5 and GCHQ, and listen, I'm no fan of the security services, as everybody knows. Okay, that's not actually true. I'm no fan of the security services in their ludicrous scrutiny of right-wing political groups, right? Because basically we're the patriots, we're the ones that are looking after the country. So when the sneaky beakies come looking at us, they're wasting time. They could be looking at really bad people. Okay, so we're in a very, very fragile state. There's potential of war with Russia, not for any other reason, not because Russian tanks are going to come trundling down Downing Street, into Whitehall and down Downing Street. That's never going to happen. There's never going to be a military invasion by Russia against the UK. But what clueless Keir is trying to do is trying to get British soldiers boots on the ground to die for a corrupt Ukrainian regime, to fight against a corrupt megalomaniac Russian leader who would quite happily turn the whole of London into cinders and ashes. And I want you to think about this. Imagine, and I want to say this very clearly, I am no fan of the Russian Premier. I am no fan of Russia or their Korean or Chinese or Chechen warriors who are laying down their lives for a completely fruitless cause in the Badlands of Ukraine. I'm no fan of Putin. His invasion was wrong, totally cack-handed, totally wrong-headed, and has cost hundreds of thousands of lives and has pushed us close to World War III. However, when we have successive British prime ministers, the last American president, the whole military-industrial complex, arming the Ukrainians to the teeth, teaching them how to fire effectively what are cruise missiles deep into Russian territory, and then we wonder why the Russian fanatics have been bellicose and threatening the UK. Well, that's why. And that's what could drag us into a third world war. And this nonsense about calling people up and conscripting people. I've said this many times. I would happily be conscripted to stand and fight for and protect my homeland, the British people, against the invaders. And we all know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Islamo-fascists, the Islamists that are lurking in almost every city up and down this country. I'd quite happily join an army that was going to fight against them and get them put out of our country. No problem whatsoever. But I'm certainly not going to go and join a military that's going to fight in Ukraine. Now, a week ago, if I'd have said, oh, there's a chance I might get called up into the British Army again, everybody, including me, would have laughed. But no, in the last week, Keir Starmer said veterans up to the age of 65 are going to get conscripted, potentially. Or I don't know if it's Starmer or some of his minions, some of his lackeys. So this is something that we need to look at very, very carefully. People that are Christians in the chat, I know there's a lot of people that are Christians in the chat. We can make a massive difference to this. We can do it through prayer. We need to pray. We need to pray to our Father in heaven that the UK is protected from the megalomaniacs that are running the country at the minute. And I believe Starmer, his advisors, the team round him, the Conservative Party, and now Reform, they are all cheeks of the same backside, except this backside's now got three cheeks. It's got the Conservative Party, the Labour Party, and Reform. Because they're all uni-party. All those people that Farage is so happy that he's dragging into the Reform Party, into his orbit of influence. They were with Call Me Dave. They were with him. They were in Parliament for the past 10, 15 years, a lot of these people. They have the blood on their hands. They know where the bodies are buried. And Farage is making a deal with the devil when he's welcoming these people into his party. Not all of them bad. I mean, that Christian fella seems fairly decent, I think. But the rest of them, who are they? You know, this guy Zahawi, an Iraqi Kurd, who, came to this country and did very well. How did he do very well? How did he get such economic advantage? Love to know how he did it. Be great. So we're facing massive, massive problems on all fronts. Massive, massive problems. And that's not looking... We haven't even started looking at what's happened with free speech. Every time any of us that do podcasts, that do videos, and I'm doing so much content, I mean, there's got to be a banana skin. There's got to be a red line I've crossed somewhere that can bring the hate speech cops to my door. But all of us are checking our tongues before we speak. And that is not right in a free country where we should have freedom of speech and we should be able to say what we want. Freedom of speech doesn't exist in the UK anymore. People are terrified. I've had work cancelled. I've had massive, massive effects to my business just through speaking the truth. Just through speaking the truth. And I've had bank accounts frozen. It's horrendous what the deep state does. And not just the deep state, the liberal elite. The liberal elite do it as well. Then we've had elections cancelled. What democracy cancels elections? And like I say, the uni party continues to grow in the form of Reform with Nigel Farage. Do you think Nigel Farage is going to pull back on these deals with the Chinese? Do you think Nigel Farage is going to pull back on the anti the internet harms legislation when the author of it is sitting in his party, sitting next to him, Nadine Dorries? Definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not. So, who are the enemies? Thank you very much, Debbie. Thank you very much for that. That's massively, massively appreciated. Really appreciate that. Who are the enemies? Who are the enemies that we face? Well, first of all, it's the communists, whether it's the Chinese Communist Party, whether it's communists in our media. The BBC is infested with them, infested with Reds under the bed, as they used to be called in the United States. You know what? As vile and disgusting as J. Edgar Hoover appears to have been, he was right about the communists. He was right about Reds under the bed. And back in the day when the Cold War was on, we knew all about communism. We knew all about Solzhenitsyn. We knew all about the gulags. We knew all about what was going on. We knew all about fascism as well, and we knew all about white supremacy, and we knew all about what Hitler had done. We knew the great evils. When I was growing up, we knew the two great evils. We knew communism was evil, and all the terrorism and the evil that it spawned in the after the Second World War, and we knew Nazism was evil. Now there's a generation that's forgotten both. An uneducated, ignorant generation that think they're far cleverer than they are, and I'll get onto that in a minute. So we're facing the communists. And of course, we're facing that massive enemy within. We see the Gaza MPs, these vile, disgusting creatures. You know, if you knew how deep this goes in the British establishment, the compromise with the Islamists, the surrender to the Islamists, how deep it goes in the security establishment. You know, one phrase that Sinn Féin IRA used to use, and I hate Sinn Féin IRA with a passion, okay? If that's upset some people, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. I saw the body bags that they filled in Northern Ireland, so don't ever tell me that they were freedom fighters or heroes. They were nothing but touts and louts, okay? Anyway, the security services made far too many compromises with the Islamists, and Sinn Féin IRA used to call them securocrats. Securocrats, actually a very, very good description for these people. Bureaucrats who are in charge of security. You know, that was a Martin McGuinness one, securocrats. Again, I didn't really pay much heed to what he said or have too much respect for him, but what he said on that was very, very true. So we're facing communists, we're facing Islamists who are infiltrating every area of our society, from the top to the bottom, whether it's buying football clubs, whether it's getting prominent positions so that they can influence police forces. It seems that the Islamists completely controlled the West Midlands police. That's how it seems. That's how it seems to me. And that Pakistani mafia that is connected with the Islamists, you know what, we can prove they can, and we got the photographic evidence to prove that the Islamist politicians, the Islamist councillors, the Islamist MPs were connected with the Pakistani mafia. So there we go. We've gone after the CCP. We've gone at the. Do you know what? I'm expecting a cruise missile through the living room window any second. But it's the truth. So we're against the communists. We're against the Islamists, the globalists. Well, the globalists, they're in bed with all of them. The globalists, and this is why people get confused. The globalists are in bed with everybody that they can make money off the back of. They're literally milking the world dry to fatten their own backsides and fill their own wallets. That's what the globalists are doing. And the globalists aren't driven by political ideology. They're driven by power and money and greed and getting their next fix. So whether it's destabilizing a state, whether it's taking over a state, whether it's 1 minute backing Islamic State, the next minute backing Al-Qaeda, the next minute backing an Al-Qaeda offshoot, the next minute backing Turkey, the next minute backing Qatar, the next minute backing Iran, then pulling the strings on all those monstrous regimes and allowing them to stay in power. So they're all working together. And then finally, can someone say our PM's name because my comment keeps getting removed? Starmer. Starmer Starmer the granny harmer, Starmer the farmer harmer, Starmer the everybody harmer, who says we've had free speech for a very long time. No, we haven't, Keir. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. So, and finally, and this is the one that's actually worrying me most at the minute. I see a resurgence of fascists, of people that are interested in ethnicity more than they're interested in ideology, because ideas matter. Skin color not so much. Okay, skin color does not matter as much as ideas, and I still live by that mantra from Martin Luther King Jr. Whatever you think about Martin Luther King Jr., and some people say he's a communist, whatever you think of this phrase that he said was right. Judge a man by the contents of his character and not by the colour of his skin. And I'm appalled by what I've seen on the far left with their identity politics, with their belittling and slandering of white people, of people who are ethnically white. It is disgusting. It is disgusting to attack the native population of the country that your forefathers came here as guests. That is disgusting. When BLM and people on the left and the bigots, many of these people are white, incidentally, the bigots in the Labour Party who mock the white British working class. What was that vile woman with the posh accent? I can't even remember her name. She looked like she needed to go on to Slimming World for a few years. I can't remember her name. She's not in politics anymore, but she was a far left, and she was mocking white van man with his St. George's cross. Those type of people. They're insidious, they're vile, they're disgusting. They're the globalists, they're the elites, they're the ones that hate us. And what they've done is they've managed to create a divide, and many people on our side are falling into that trap, and I won't play that game. I'm not going to look at someone's skin colour and say, well, I'm better than him or he's better than me or vice versa. I'm not playing that game. I've never played that game. I never will play that game. And I've said it many times before. One of my best mates in the military was a Somali lad. Probably a Muslim. Never even asked him. Cool dude. Really nice guy. And a real good friend. So, kids I was at school with. So I'm not going to play that game. And people from my generation don't tend to play that game. But in the same way that there's this elite snobbery in the white middle classes, the sort of baby boomer white middle classes, where they look sneeringly down their noses at the white British working class. Exactly the same things happening with the Zoomer generation that are now growing up and talking about nativism and pretending it's not racism, playing very dangerous games. And again, I've seen a lot of these guys. I look at them and I go, I can guarantee you, son, that you have never had a fight in your life. You couldn't beat the skin off a rice pudding. And yet what you're trying to do by your rhetoric and by the way you're talking and by the way you're behaving with your nonsense, ethno-nationalism, deport everybody that's not pure white. That's their mantra, right? These absolute lunatics, and they are lunatics, they're not going to be the ones that are fighting in the streets. They're not going to be the ones, if this thing kicks off, which it will if they get their way with their policies. They're not going to be the ones that are going to have to fight these battles. It's going to be people like me and my son and my grandson that'll have to fight these battles. Because the elites never get their hands dirty. They just breeze on. And these great intellectuals, oh, we're nativists, we're not racists, we're nativists. Nonsense. Now, I'm proud of my British, Irish and Scottish heritage. I'm extremely proud of it. I'm extremely proud of what the British Empire did. I am an imperialist. I believe the world would be a better place if it was ruled by Britain. The whole world. But I'm not a globalist. So I'm happy that the empire's no longer there. And we don't have to look after Sierra Leone, Pakistan or Sri Lanka. I'm okay with that. I don't have any problem with that. But I'm very comfortable that the British Empire was a massive force for good. That it was the British Empire that did away with slavery. So for all these Black Lives Matter lunatics, Lenny Henry wanting reparations. What do you want reparations for, Lenny? You're doing far better. Who's going to pay you the reparations? My son, my grandson, for the next 20 years? So the extremes on all sides I find insidious and I find disgusting. And what's happening? What's happening because of the way the DEI nonsense has been pushed down everybody's throat? Because of that, because of the DEI nonsense, we now have a war on the right. And the war on the right is not between different parties. It's not between different people. Well, it is between different people, but it's between different ideas. And the idea is this. One of the ideas is we've got to get Britain to 95% white at any cost. That's what the ethno-nats want. The ethno-nats want to get rid of all Jews, everybody that's black, everybody that's brown, everybody that's mixed race. See how that goes for you. One, it's an electoral complete damp squib. Nobody's ever gonna vote for a party that supports those policies. I would say 80% of the British public find those policies repugnant. But because this crazy, pathetic dialogue is taking place, because people are platforming these idiots and bigging them up, it's becoming a debate on the right, and it will destroy politics on the right unless we get. And that's why I'm saying we're in a state of emergency. So it's not just the body politics in Parliament. This is happening right now on the right. And I'm going to take a whole lot of hate for this, but I don't care. I literally don't care what people think about me. I see these people come in. They weren't standing for this when it was difficult to fight. They weren't standing when it was difficult. Well, it still is difficult. And that's another thing the ethno-nats are doing. The ethno-nats are cowards because they ain't calling out Islam. They're going on the Dilly Hussein show on 5 Pillars. They're not standing against Islam. They're not standing against this ideology that wants to take over, that's not here to take part but to take over. No, they're just saying we're going to deport everybody. They know it's never going to happen. They're playing games, and they're playing games with my children and my grandchildren's future. And I'll stand against it with every single fibre of my being, because I know something. I know that we're on the right side of history. That little very, very tiny landing strip that we're all standing on, that Tommy stands on, that Ben Habib stands on, that everybody in our movement that signed the pledge stands on, all the football lads. When I was doing this with the football lads in 2017, and I made a video about this, about my mate Mickey Hennessy. Mickey Hennessy, my mate Mick, ex-Green Jacket lad, Terry Houlihan, Phil Hicken, all of these guys believe exactly what I believe. None of them are racist. None of them, right? They've all been branded and classed as racist and called racist, but none of them are, because none of us would stand with a racist in those days. And we did have fallings out with people, and we did stand toe to toe with people. 100% fact. That happened, okay? I'm not one. I don't like violence. I genuinely don't. But people, we had confrontations because of this stuff and this ideology. So what do? How do we bring this back? One, stop listening to idiots. Honestly, there's people appearing from nowhere, right? They've no idea what they're doing. They're running around with cameras, making videos. So what? Go and point a camera at a hotel. Who cares? We've done demos outside hotels for 3 years. It's no great shakes. Hotels are hotels. They're full of migrants. Yes, so what? Do the demos, get them out. End of. That's what we've done in my town. Our demos worked. Do you know what they did in the town I'm in, right? We were doing demos every single week. We're still doing them every single week. And I'll tell you what happened in our town. There was a lot of Somali, I believe, Afghan, men from very, very dangerous countries that had obviously lived through civil wars. I don't know what they were doing here. They come here illegally, so to me, they're illegal migrants and they need to be gone, right? I don't care about their sob stories. I don't care about what's happened to them. What I care about is young girls in my town, and they put them in a hotel at the bottom of the main street in my town where all the nightlife is. So young girls, people my daughter's age, people younger than my daughter, girls from, you know what it's like, girls go out from 16, 17, 18, 19, right the way up until they're, you know, in the 50s, and they need to get hip replacements because they've danced too much, okay? Um, but what the state did by putting a hotel full of unvetted men from very, very violent places on their own could have led to an absolute catastrophe. We could have had a woman in my town raped, attacked, beaten, whatever. We've seen all the footage. We've seen all the cases. It's happened. It's happened all over the country. And they decided to plant 50 migrants in a hotel right in the middle of that, right in the middle of the nightlife in my town. And we protested and protested, and eventually they removed the men. So the men are gone. So what we've got now and there's migrant women. And I think by doing that, I think they thought we'd stop protesting. Well, that was actually a big win. People didn't realise it, but we've probably prevented some young girl getting her life ruined by these savages, okay? And everybody that's been on those demos with me, and me with them, because nobody runs it, I'm not in charge, you know, we've made that very clear. These have been spontaneous demos. All of us that have stood there, I think, can give ourselves a pat on the back, because we probably prevented some young girl somewhere getting indecently assaulted at least, and maybe worse, and maybe even murdered, right? So, and now there's just women in there, okay? And those women are going soon. Those women are going in February. So job done. It was a success. And that's one of the things we can do. And the reason we did that, and I always used to say faith, family, flag, right? And there was a friend of mine, and he said, no, he says, Richard, it's faith, family, fraternity, and flag. And I looked, and I thought fraternity meant brotherhood. I thought it was just men, you know. I thought it was like something like the Masons or something like that. I thought, well, I'm not into that sort of fraternity, you know, because when you hear about these fraternal houses in America, that's what it is. But that's not what he was talking about. He wasn't talking about that sort of fraternity. What he was talking about was people coming together with common cause and common purpose, believing in the same things. That's the sort of fraternity. And that comes first of all from faith. Then it comes from family. Then the fraternity is the community you build of like-minded people. And that's what we've done. And it hasn't been anyone leading. It's happened totally spontaneously. And we've got some of the best people I've met in my town, our town, I should say, the town I live in the town I live in, every Friday coming together peacefully, legally, legitimately, with common cause. So that's what we can do. Faith, family, it's got to be biblical faith. None of this going off and burning incense and, you know, making a waxwork, whatever. None of that sort of stuff. You know, salvation by works or salvation by wax. No, biblical Christian faith. That's what we've got in my town. And that's where the strength can come from. And that's how we can win. So we've seen what the enemies are. We've seen something of how we can make this work. But I want to give some warnings here. So not only have we got the problem with the ethno-nats, and I think that's a massive problem, and I'm going to keep talking out against it, okay? I'm going to keep speaking out against it. Sorry I haven't gone through the comments here, guys. I'm going to finish my rant, okay, which was meant to be a 5-minute rant. I'm into 28 minutes so far, okay? So I apologize, right? So I'm going to finish my rant, and then I'm going to go through some of the comments. But here's the solutions. Well, here's the problems we can face. And this is a problem that I've seen in every area of life I've ever been involved in, right? And we can all become victim of this. And this is where our political leaders, and it's very unlikely any of them listen to me or are listening to this podcast, but this is where our political leaders should actually listen and take note. First of all, that little Bible verse that I read at the beginning, where there is no vision, the people perish. Well, first of all, we all need a vision, okay? So everybody needs to know what road they're on. And we'll look at that in a minute. But before we look at that, every political leader must be very, very careful of the narcissistic sycophants that will surround them and pay them compliments, not because they believe in the cause, because they don't even know, because if you discuss it with them, they don't even know what the cause is. They don't understand the cause. Now this happens it happens in church life, it happens in business, but I've never seen anything like it the way it happens in politics. And you get the grimly, I call them grimly worm tongue. If you ever watch Lord of the Rings, you'll know who I'm talking about. I think it was Theoden, wasn't it, the king? And Grimly Wormtongue comes up next to him and whispers in his ear and hypnotizes and puts him into a trance. Well, that's what these insidious people do. And they do it to get position. They do it to get power. Not because they believe in the cause, because they don't even understand the cause. But they do it. They do it because they want power. They want power. And my advice to every single political leader, whoever they are, whatever party, whatever position you hold, be very, very careful of people that slither up alongside you and start whispering in your ear, telling you what a wonderful person you are, telling you how you can't do anything wrong as long as they're in the circle and as long as they're having influence, as long as they're being able to get themselves into a position of self-aggrandizement and power. Be very, very careful of those people. And I've seen them in the last 8 years that I've been doing this. I could have pushed myself forward a million times more than I did. I don't play that game because to me, when we're doing this politically, we've got to have our ideals and our ideas right. Our ideology's got to be right. And I've never compromised on our ideology. Not for anything. Not for anything. So where's the ideology come from? The pledge. And again, there's 600 people watching this tonight. That's great. 600 people, 11:15 at night, watching me on a rant. Go to thepledge.org.uk. I'm going to put that in the chat here now. Okay. I will finish my rant very, very soon. But and then I'm gonna start another live stream in about 20 minutes after this because I'm gonna do the Bible reading. So don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the Bible reading. That will happen. But all I will be doing is reading the Bible. There'll be no prayer and I'm sorry, it's just the way it's got to be. Okay, but again, I'll talk about that in a minute. So if you want an idea, you want an ideology. If you want a political philosophy and a political ideology, what I'm going to ask you to do is go onto the pledge website. Read the pledge. If you believe it, sign it. Okay? If you believe in the pledge, sign it. Right? And I'm going to come on to political parties in a minute because Lily's just put about advance being the only way. It is. Advance is the only way. But I do want to look at advance in a minute very, very quickly. I'm not going to be critical, but I just want to make a few comments. So go onto the pledge.org.uk. Sign the pledge if you haven't done so already. I know a lot of people have signed the pledge, but please go and read it because the pledge is the antidote to all this. And the reason I'm supporting Advance UK is because the ideology of Advance UK is the ideology of the pledge. Now, if a whole lot of wrong-uns come into Advance UK and take it over, we've still got the pledge there and we can go to them and say, hold on a minute, this isn't what the pledge says. You signed the pledge or the leader signed the pledge. Why aren't you sticking to what the pledge says? And we've probably got 70,000 people in the pledge. I want to have 1 million people on the pledge because that gives us a lot more power and a lot more influence. But we got about 70,000, which ain't bad for something that's got no funding apart from me. You know, paid it all out my own empty pockets. And a few, sorry, that's not fair. A couple of other people have thrown a few quid in as well. But, so sign the pledge. Okay. Next thing I want you to do. Okay. UK Freedom Movement. I'm going to put the link in here now. Just bear with me 2 seconds. Do you know what, Claire? I think Claire was, there you go. Claire was way ahead of me actually on that. If you've already signed the pledge, great. That's fantastic. UK Freedom Movement. Please go on to the UK Freedom Movement website and sign up because it is different because the UK Freedom Movement is totally focused on winning us back our freedoms. And it's kind of been a little bit in hiatus. It's been in hibernation because I've been so busy with everything else that I've got to do. Helping Tommy and you know, the marches, the making Rape of Britain films. So much has been going on in the last 5 years. But this year, I'm going to focus on three or four, well, probably about four or five things. Okay. The next one, and I don't need to give you the website because you'll know the website anyway. Unite the Kingdom. We've all got to get behind Unite the Kingdom. We need the Unite the Kingdom event in May this year, 16th of May. That event needs to be twice the size of last year's. Last year's was the biggest ever. We need to double it. We need to double it. And, I'm not going to say too much. I've been talking to the police. I've been talking to Tommy's team. I'm excited about what we're going to do. And I think any of the issues that we had, any of the minor hiccups that we had at the last event, and they were only minor hiccups, they will be ironed out. And it's going to be an absolutely fantastic event. But not only that, it is going to send a massive message to the government. And what I would say, we were talking about advance. I would say this. If anybody is going to the Unite the Kingdom rally, do me a favour. If somebody could put the link to Advance UK in the description, if Claire, if you could do that, because you can probably type it quicker than I can. Put the link into the Advance UK website. And if you're thinking about going to the Unite the Kingdom rally, also think about signing the pledge, but also think about joining Advance UK. What is it, 20 quid a year? I mean, it's not even a good meal anymore for one person. 20 quid a year for saving your country, to me, is a bargain basement price. Because the policies that are coming out, the strategies that have been worked on, and will there be teething problems? Yes. Will there be flies in the ointment? Yes. Will the state try and destabilise it? Yes, of course they will. But Advance UK is the only political party that has got what it takes to save this country. And Advance UK will never go down the ethno-nat route, ever. And if they do, we'd all leave it like rats leaving a sinking ship. But they're not going to. It's not going to happen. And they have got the intellectual clout. They've got the financial clout. Advance UK can do this. And that's not disrespecting UKIP or any of the other smaller parties. Advance UK is growing steadily as people realise what reform is. Yeah, so the pledge, UK Freedom Movement, Unite the Kingdom, and the final one I'm going to say, and this is the most important one, and this is one we cannot use for our own ends, okay? It is, get this book. I know it looks backwards because obviously I've got a camera facing the wrong way because that's the way it is on the internet. Get this book, get the Bible, start devouring it. Start reading every single page. Start praying that God will show you wisdom and truth from its pages. I'm not asking you to be a Christian, but this is the book of our heritage. People talk about Christian heritage. People talk about the heritage of the United Kingdom. The heritage of the United Kingdom is found on the pages of this book. Found in the Bible. It's not found anywhere else. It's not we're not like we are because a whole lot of Anglo-Saxons and Jutes or whatever they were crossed the channel after the Romans left and took over large parts of England. It's not about the ethnicity of the Anglo-Saxon. It's about the faith of the Anglo-Saxon, which was a fusion of Celtic and Catholic Christianity. That's what made Britain great. That's what put Britain in a situation where you had Wycliffe coming along in the 1200s and writing a Bible in the English language, where you had the Lollards, these preachers walking around England preaching from the Wycliffe Bible texts, where you had the Reformation ablaze in the United Kingdom. Yes, there was terrible bloody civil wars and many people were killed, but the Protestant Reformation, the Lollards, the Anglo-Saxon Christianity, the Celtic Christianity that ruled in these countries for so many centuries, that's what made Britain what it was. That's what eventually gave us Magna Carta, eventually gave us Oliver Cromwell, eventually gave us religious freedom to a certain extent, eventually gave us the Puritans and the Protestant Reformation. And that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to biblical Christianity. We need to get back to a simple faith. All the other stuff is really important. The Pledge, UKFM, Advance UK, Unite the Kingdom. All of these things are really important. But to me, the most important is putting God in his rightful place. You see, the secularists, the atheists, the communists, the Islamists, they've all tried to dethrone God, but they're never going to dethrone God. But that's what we need. We need a return to that biblical faith, that family. Now, I used to say community, but it's fraternity is the right word. My friend was right, because he kept on saying to me, I'm not going to name him, he knows who he is. He kept on saying to me, faith, family, fraternity and flag. And I was always right. Okay. Not understanding what fraternity was, but now I understand what fraternity really means. That just shows my ignorance. Fraternity is the right word to use in there. Okay? And that's what we need. And if we do that, we've got one hell of a chance. But we have got one hell of a chance of winning. And that's what we need to do. We need to win. And with God on our side, and with love in our hearts for our country, for the fraternity, for the flag, for the family, and for the faith, we're going to win. Anyway, rant over. I'm going to have a quick look at some of the chats here and some of the stuff that people have been saying. That was a 41-minute rant. 41-minute rant. You see, that's the great thing about the internet, because the way, when I used to make speeches, I used to speak for about 20 minutes. But on the internet, I could talk for 2 hours. I can talk as long as I want, because I don't have to stick to a clock. Okay, guys, let's have a look at this. What do we got? Thanks for these super chats, guys. They make the rant all the more worth it. But I'm not doing it for this, but it is massively appreciated that you guys appreciate me. A little something in appreciation of all your time and efforts that you put in to help us save this once great nation. Thank you very much, Wano. I really appreciate that. And look, I'll be honest with you. Even though I am a massive advanced supporter, if I see things going wrong, I'll be on the phone to the leadership. I'll be saying, guys, I don't like this. This isn't the way it's meant to be. Now, I don't see that at the minute, but if I did see it, I would be the first one to be in the queue saying, what about this? I wouldn't be cheeky. I wouldn't be rude, because, people running political parties deserve respect, because I know the amount of work that they're putting in and how hard it is and how much flack they're getting. And I think Ben at the minute is playing a blinder, and I hope Rupert Lowe does join. That's what I would say. If we're going to pray for anything, guys, pray that Rupert Lowe makes the right decision. And I've asked this before. I'm going to say it again. On X, very politely and graciously, like Ben did, just invite him to join. If you're a member of Advance, just invite him to join, very politely. There's no point in getting rude with people. It doesn't work. It just puts people's backs up. I can be one of the most abrasive people on the planet. It don't work. And I really should know better at my age, but you can't teach old dogs new tricks, isn't it what they say? But be very nice and go to Rupert and say, Rupert, please consider Ben's offer. See, just try and get that influence in there. I don't think it does any harm. I've done it. I've sent him a message just, on X. Now, whether I'm sure he doesn't read them. I'm sure he has someone that does that for him. I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he has someone that does it, and maybe he does it himself as well. But the reality is, if he gets a lot of stuff in his inbox and the people that are around him have been genuine, I have very grave misgivings about some of the people around him, I'll be honest with you. But I'm allowed my opinion on that. Everybody knows who I'm talking about and what I'm talking about. But get in touch with him and let him know that the right thing to do for the country is join with Ben. Join up, whatever that looks like. But they need to be joined at the hip, those two men. And Ben has done the right thing in reaching out. And of course, it's up to Rupert what he does next. Somebody very Riley put in a little WhatsApp group I'm in as Rupert had his baby yet. And then I responded, well, maybe you need to induce him, Anyway. If I shouldn't have said that, I apologise, but there you go. Just thank, and that it wasn't an advanced group, by the way. It wasn't an advanced group at all. It was another group. Okay. F the extremists on the left and right, both wrong. They need standing up against. Absolutely. This is the thing. We need to do it with truth and with love. I do go off on rants and I do dig people out, and maybe I shouldn't do that. It's just to get very frustrated, especially when I see some young, apparently very talented people going obviously in the wrong direction. I find it extremely worrying and extremely stressful. If the extremists on the left and the right, both wrong, they need to standing up against with educating, using true history, facts, not opinions or feelings, and better guidance to face their errors. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. For you to buy your lovely wife a wee bunch of flowers. Restore England's pride. Thank you very, very much. That is massively, massively appreciated. And Julie will be watching this, no doubt, and she's gonna hold me to account. She's gonna hold me to account. So I need to get to the florist, don't I? That's for sure. Thanks very much for that. That's very, very kind. Well, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for all the supers. Thanks for everyone taking part. We'll have a very quick look at some of these comments, because that's the other thing. What we've got to do when we're doing this, right? What we've got to do when we're doing this is keep checking that we are that people, one, that we're on the right track. Well, I know we're on the right track, but I want to make sure. I want to make sure that when we're doing this, that people understand what it is I'm saying. So I'm going to have a very quick look. Yeah, now this is a really good point. The million plus people in London at the last rally should have signed the pledge, joined Advance UK, joined the UK freedom movement. So this means there should be a million signatures for all three. You're absolutely right against animal abuse. Absolutely right. Just a point on this one, Kenny. Now again, Kenny. These are my opinions, mate. So I'm not going to start. I've got a lot of mates in reform, incidentally, really good mates, and I respect them. They are very good, successful businessmen. A lot of them. They're very, very sharp guys. So yeah. Why is advance the only way? To me, and again, this is my opinion, and obviously you vote how you want to vote, Kenny. Yeah. But if you look at the way Nigel Farage has spoken, particularly about the issue of Islam, look at the candidates he's got. And I'm not saying this, well, maybe it is sectarian, and I think in some ways we kind of probably have to be sectarian in a way. But if you look at the candidates he's selecting, you look at Mohammed Zia Yusuf. This new guy he's just got in from I can't pronounce his name, Zahawi, isn't it? Zahawi, is that his name? You look at the people that have come into the party, okay? Islamists, not necessarily Islamists, Muslims. Now, how do we know what their intentions are when the rubber hits the road? When the rubber hits the road, if you're a Christian and you've been brought up in a Christian way, you'll have Christian ideals and Christian ideas. If you're a Muslim and you're brought up as a Muslim, you will still have the Ummah in mind. You'll still have Sharia in mind. Okay? So my point is very simple. To me, there's too much of the application of Islam. There's too much of the Uni Party in there. He's brought far too many wets from the Conservative Party in. He's on about bringing people in from the Labour Party. I mean, that's shocking to me. And I know, some of these people are Red Wall Labour people. Kate Hoey's great. I mean, if Kate Hoey joined, it'd be a great coup for him, because she's a fan. I've met Kate Hoey. She's a very, very sharp, intelligent, patriotic, good woman, right? So, if Kate Hoey's one of the ones that's going to join, fair play. That's a good scalp, actually, for a Labour MP, for a ex-Labour MP. Others that were involved in Brexit from the Labour Party, good people. Okay, I get that. But you look at some of the people he's brought in. Jenrick. Oh, guys, please. Jenrick is absolutely dreadful. I mean, he was going to turn the security service on. I've got the video. I'm show you the video. So I'm very. To say I'm cynical about reform would be an understatement. Look what he did to Rupert Lowe. Look what he did to Ben Habib. Look at the way he's spoken about our friend Tommy. Right. And what he's done, he's really created a completely unnecessary divide, because he claims to be centre-right. Well, we're all centre-right. We get attacked by these ethno-nats all the time. They're always digging us out. They're always attacking us. That's why I'll never join with them. Well, not because they're attacking us, but because they're wrong. But they're always attacking us. They're always slandering us. So Farage should never, ever have done that. Totally, totally wrong. There's loads of others. If the head's, bad, then the whole body's bad. It's as simple as that. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm giving time to that just so you understand why I'm talking like I'm talking. And I know that reform are not going to save the country. And even if Reform suddenly have a road to Damascus experience, it'll be because of the likes of Rupert and Ben dragging them to the right, kicking and screaming. Okay, I don't think they're going to go there, but let's wait and see. Okay, Tish Green. We need billboards with Ben and Advance with the ideology of the party. That's a really good idea, Tish. That is a really, really good idea. So if anyone in Advances, I'm going to write that down actually. I'm going to write that down because billboard campaigns, everybody's doing Twitter, right? What about billboard campaigns? They're expensive, but I agree. Billboard campaigns. Good idea. Okay. Well done, Tish. Thank you for everything you do, Richard. Let's go Advance UK. June, thank you for the encouragement. As far as I can see, it's the only show in town. And again, there'll be things I don't agree with. There'll be things I'll be not sure about that. That's going to happen. It happens in every area of life. But I cannot see any other party that shares my ideology. The Advance UK, their ideology fits my ideology hand in glove. Okay, and some people probably say, why not UKIP? UKIP's a Christian organised party. I think because, and no disrespect to Nick, because he's from a Catholic background, he would try and impose Christianity in a legal framework, whereas Advance UK is culturally Christian. So if you're not a Christian, you can still join and take part. Culturally Christian and also constitutionally Christian. In other words, you protect the Christian constitutional rights that have been in the UK ad infinitum from before 1066. Okay, so that's what, as far as I can see, Advance UK stand for. And I want to see Advance UK not imposing Christianity, but loads of Christian people, loads of people coming to genuine faith, like I see happening, and getting behind Advance UK. That would be the kind of win situation for that. Okay, let's have a look at some more comments here. Yeah, I love Ben Habib, I love Advance, but I have only one issue. It's tiny, and that is I want to see them build their online presence. Yeah, I agree with that. We can all do that. All of us need to start sharing Advanced stuff everywhere. Okay, we need to get it out there everywhere. Okay, right, guys. I am going to close this off in a second. Debbie, brilliant. Appreciate that. Signed it a year ago. Great stuff. I mean, I know one of the issues with this, right? I am to a great extent preaching to the choir. But if you're one of the Reformed people that's watching this tonight, and you're welcome to watch, I'm glad you're watching. If you're one of the Reformed people watching me rant tonight, do me a favour. Jump over onto the pledge, have a look at the pledge, see what you think of it. Because Advance UK know about the pledge. They ain't, as far as I know, they ain't signed. They certainly haven't publicly signed it, right? They should have done. So if you're in the Reform Party, or if you support Reform, go and have a look at the pledge, thepledge.org.uk, and let me know what you think of it. Yeah. Brilliant, Barbara. That's fantastic. What I'm going to do when I get my act together, I mean, I've literally had, and I'm going to try and get people helping me with this, because when you're using the technology I'm using, I'm not using really expensive software to send the emails. I'm using the cheapest software I can get because it's something, again, it's a labor of love that we've self-funded, right? And we probably do need to get some funding for the pledge as it grows, and so also for UK Freedom Movement. But we need to get as many people. We need to get as many people involved as we possibly can. Okay. Signed up to UK Freedom Movement, UK Freedom and UTK, superb. Oh, Nick, hope they can sort it out. Lily, you do like to keep busy, Richard. One thing you definitely are not is lazy in body or in mind. You're right. I am absolutely at it full time. I mean, what time is it now? I started this morning. I think. Well, I got up at 7:10, and I've had loads going on today in family wise and all that sort of stuff, and I'm still at it, and I've still got the Bible reading to do. Yeah, UTK have a website. It's on Tommy's website. It's connected with Tommy's website. The reason I didn't put it up, I couldn't lay my hands. If someone can get the Unite the Kingdom domain name, please, if you can do that and drop it in the comments, that would be awesome. I'm just seeing how far behind I am on this. Yeah, I'm literally 20 minutes behind in the comments here, so I apologize for this, guys. I'm going to go through this as quick as I can because I do need to get off and do the Bible reading. There we go, Advance UK. Sign up to advanceuk.org.uk. Richard, you cannot do everything, all what you said, plus the breakfast show, Bible and prayer meeting, and the videos you need rest. Go to Spain with Julian C. Paul. Do you know what? I probably do need to do that, but it's like Dalton. Was it Dalton? No, Dalton was the Patrick Swayze character. The grizzled old character in Roadhouse said, "I'll get all the rest I need when I'm dead." And I'm not planning on popping off for quite some time. I've got too much to do. Um, okay. 16th of May will be the event of all events. Oh, guys, you better believe it. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. The 16th of May is going to go down in history. It's going to be absolutely awesome. It really is. Oh, man. Advanced £10, not anymore, Liam. I think it's gone up to 20. It was 10. That was the introductory offer. So if you didn't get the introductory offer, it's kind of you snooze, you lose. It's up to 20 quid. If you're a veteran, I think it's 15. Going to the advanced event 7th of Feb as a member, good stuff. You also signed the pledge backing up the United Kingdom, super stuff. I support UTK. Nigel is establishment 100%. What is Advance UK's main economic policy? The policies are getting launched on the 7th of February, and I'm not privy to what the economic policy is yet, so we'll have to wait on that. But there is policy getting launched on the 7th, so just bear with us on that. Zia is a Trojan horse. I agree 100%. Signed all. I haven't had a confirmation from UK Freedom Movement though. Okay. Tell you what, Nick, do me a favor, right? In the the description of this video, the UKFM Proton email address is there, yeah? Now that's not the sign up email address, but if you send me an email address saying that you haven't had a confirmation, if you just do that to help me, because what I'll do, I'll then go and check on the database and see if your email, because I'll have your email address, as long as you use the same email address that you used to sign up, right, on UK Freedom Movement, I'll go and check it and see if you've signed up. So just drop me an email if you could through that, and then I know it's a bit of hassle, but it just means that I can make sure that you are actually on the list. I think it just pops up with a screen saying check your spam. I can't remember. It's ages since I did it. UKFreedomMovement.org.uk. Yeah, Bible reading start with the four Gospels. Okay, I'm going to keep going here, guys. I'm going to go past a lot of these guys. Sorry about this. I'm trying to read as many as I can. Jenny Pritchard is Fry's trying to sabotage on part. It looks like it, doesn't it? Remember, Advance hasn't been going that long. Yeah, exactly. Look how much they've grown in such a short period of time. And look, I'm not attacking anyone that's supporting reform. I'm really not. William Tyndale, yes, great call. William Tyndale paid to give us freedom, to give us biblical freedom. He was one of the main translators of the Bible. He translated, I believe, the Greek New Testament into English, and he was strangled for his troubles and burnt at the stake. So, right, I'm going to have to push through this. I've signed the pledge, but where does it show the number of signatures signed, please? Do you know what? We don't have a counter on it. We should have a counter, but again, and it's not that difficult to do, and it's one of those things on my list to do because I'm basically the sole person looking after the pledge at the minute. Okay, yeah, there is loads of misinformation. The best thing to do is read the Bible. Read the Bible. Some people that I've known for years, oh man, they're coming out with some weird stuff. What religion? There was a few religions. There was people worshipping Odin. There was a few there was Druids. Remember the Druids? So there's a whole lot of stuff. But Christianity is what made Britain. No doubt about it. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Yam, thank you so much, brother. I love Nigel Farage more than any other politician. I don't think you're on your own. Well, come on, it's got to be very close between Keir Starmer and Nigel. I think Keir Starmer wins it hands down for me. Okay, let's have a look. Can't do Facebook, but for sharing COVID videos, I don't want to make another because it won't let me put the pronouns I want to put up. Well, I've just got a Facebook account back, guys. Okay, so maybe Facebook are loosening up a bit because, yeah, yeah, liberty, equality, fraternity. You see, if it was faith, family, and fraternity, it would be a lot better, wouldn't it? It would be a lot better. That's what makes the difference. Exactly. I'm not worshipping no political party, no matter how much I love them. Never be blinded by politics. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Every political party, including Advance UK, can go wrong. And with me, and this is where it's really important. It is country before party. So Advance UK is just a vehicle to get us to where we want to go. It's as simple as that. It's to get control of our country back. You have to do it through politics because that's the only means that we've got. Do you know what? I hate politics, to be honest with you. I don't think I'll ever stand for politics as a politician myself in my life because the scrutiny and all the people looking at you, and they'll be digging through my social media, and we most of us have got enough skeletons in our closets to fill a graveyard, right? So why would you put yourself under the scrutiny of having people coming and poking your life and looking at your life and all that sort of thing? So fair play to anyone that is standing and that is putting their neck on that chopping block. But I will be involved in promoting Advance and doing everything I can to make Advance what it needs to be, and that's part of what I believe I'm called to do. Yeah, that's my email address there. So, whoever, the lady that was asking earlier about did she get a notification, send me an email letting me know, and I'll check if you're actually on the mailing list. Yeah, that's probably the best bet because I want to make sure that. Yeah, Big Sue, I've just got back on Facebook as well after being in the naughty. I was on the naughty step in Facebook for from 2018, I think it was, or 2019. Okay, guys, look, do you know what? I am going to have to get off here and just go get. I'm going to be back on in about 15 minutes to do the Bible reading. Okay, so that was a really, really good stream. Really enjoyed that. Um, you're right. Oh, boss, you've nailed me. I am absolutely. I'm never calm. I live like this. My poor wife has to put up with my um, you know, completely volatile nature. I'm never violent, but I'm volatile and I shout and I get on and I just know what I am. So I've been no good in Parliament. They throw me out after a week. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, if people want to stand, good luck to them. Go for it. Um, okay, guys, I better go. It's been absolutely superb. Make sure I've got all these. Oh, great. So Restore English Pride. Register to help on WhatsApp. Yeah. Um, what we're going to do, what I'm going to do, and that email that we put on the screen earlier, it's in the description. Um, what we're going to do, I'm going to try and build some different groups of people. I want a group for Christian veterans, just veterans that are Christians, veterans that are genuine Bible believing Christians, born again Christians. Okay. I want a group of that. Army veterans, Navy veterans, police veterans. What else have we got? Marines. The whole lot. I want. Even let the Paras in. We'd even let Paras in as long as they're Christians, right? So I want to build a little network of Christian veterans. Excuse me. I want to build a network of just Christians, and then I want to build a network of people that politically are aligned and agree with me, whether you're Christian or not. And I'm not when I'm doing that. I'm not being cliquey. I'm not being bigoted against people that aren't Christians. But there's a reason that I want to build Christian networks because Christians will pray, and I believe prayer makes a massive difference. And the last thing I'm going to say before I go is everybody that's listened to me and agreed with what I've said tonight, pray. If you're a believer, pray. There you go. Do you know what? I just realized I should have had the comments on the page the whole time. If you're a believer, pray, okay? And pray that God will honor what we're doing. And anyway, guys, that was a rant of all rants. It's just over an hour. I'm going to get out of here, and I will see anybody that wants to hear me read the Bible. I will be back on within the next within. I'll be back on by midnight, okay? And it's going to be a very quick reading, right? Oh dear. I'm going to share this on the screen, okay? Now, yesterday, and I am going to go. Yesterday, before I did my Bible reading yesterday, oh, it's not as late as I thought it was. Before I did my Bible reading yesterday, I'd been eating muesli. Why? What possessed me to eat muesli? It's horrible. It is birdseed. It's birdseed with raisins in it, dressed up as food. Okay, and yeah, and I nearly choked when I was trying to read the Bible. Okay, the Mighty Owls. Yeah, well, listen. Where's the Mighty Owl logo? Let's find the Mighty Owl logo. Let's find it. Where is this? Where are the Men of England? Do you know what? That's what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to play. I'm going to play us out on the Men of England as well. But I want to show you this first because it's a bit of fun. Is that them? Is that the Mighty Owls? I think it is. Is it? Yeah, there we go. Boom. So the Mighty Owls are all the people that come and read the Bible with us. Okay, so if you're not a Mighty Owl, when I come back on in the next half hour to start reading the Bible, you can join the Mighty Owls. You can be you, you can be you can be one of the Mighty Owls, and it's all Guna's fault. Again, you've got to be in the clique. If you're not in the little clique of people that come and listen to the Bible late on, you won't have a clue what we're talking about. Yeah, maybe it's that. Do you know what? Do you know what? That's what I should start doing. I should start on the UK Freedom Movement website. I'm going to start doing merchandise, and we'll have a T-shirt of the month, right? We'll maybe do that. We'll have a T-shirt of the month. Okay, guys, listen. I am going to go now. It's all fun. It's all fun. Right. I'll see you all in a bit because I'm going to go. I've got to go and prep this Bible study. So I've got to get the Bible verses onto a PDF, and then I'll come back as soon as I've got that done. See you soon, guys.